On Saturday night, James Scurlock joined protesters in Omaha, Nebraska. James Scurlock seems to be the black gentleman, to seek justice for the death of George Floyd. Oh, fuck, they'll be going for justice for a long time. It's been about 4 fucking months already. He never returned. He never returned home. Jacob Gardner shot him dead after he was standing in front of the bar that the Gardner family owns. Bystanders caught the confrontation on camera, and the gunshot could be heard as Gardner confronted Scurlock. Do you want to play that Snapchat video again? I wouldn't mind watching it.
Yeah, I'll play it again. I'll put the volume up.
Hey, that's not worth it, nigga.
It's hard to see.
It's super hard to see what's going on here.
Oh!
That's it. It's just basically.
You hear the gunshots go off, but I don't even really see the people involved specifically. And then when you scroll down, so in this article they're saying Jake Gardner is a free man after killing James Scurlock. There will be no charges filed against Gardner, a white store owner. I don't think his race matters, but a white store owner after he claimed that this was an act of self-defense. End quote. Sort of saying that he's like lying about it. He believes that Scurlock was posing a threat to him and his family and is responsible for pushing his father to the ground at one point. Is he responsible for pushing the father to the ground? Because if so, I mean, I could see that being self-defense. Like, my dad's dad is 92 years old, and I'm sure to fuck if my granddad got pushed on the ground by some guy in front of my dad's house. I mean, there's no guns in Australia, but he's not going to be very fucking happy, that's for sure. Right? Like, the second shot he fired off proved to be deadly, so he shot.
If anyone did anything to any family members of mine, I'm going in. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, I'm going in. But I think the question is also, is this a state where, is it a stand your ground state? Can you, are you able to pull out a gun, shoot someone to protect yourself? Which I think it is based on how they initially handled it. And if so, you can't then go back and, like, it doesn't matter if someone made, which we'll get into this in a second, because it's not really how they make it seem, but even if someone made some transphobic, racist, sexist comments, it doesn't matter. If someone got attacked and shot someone else in self-defense, and it's legal to do that in your state, that's it. Case closed.
Right. Like, yeah, look at, like, that Kyle Rittenhouse thing, right? Like, it's pretty damn clear that he's going to be getting off on all those charges because it was clearly self-defense. Yeah. Now, I don't know exactly what happened in this story, right? Especially from this article, it seems hard to understand. That video is not great. But then, here's what the county attorney says. So Douglas County Attorney Don Klein said in a news conference that after looking at the footage, the determination has been made that the shooting was in self-defense. Okay. He also said that there is video evidence that he wants the public to see other than just the Snapchat video that has been circulating on social media. Law enforcement came to this decision after reviewing all of the evidence that was presented to them. In interviews with investigators, Gardner maintained that he was trying to protect himself and was fearful that Scurlock was a threat. Okay, so the county attorney said it was self-defense. They also say that there's more video than this 13-second bullshit Snapchat out there. Yeah. Fucking crazily enough that there's more evidence than this 10-second grainy as fuck video that looked like it was filmed out of a tin can. He's maintaining that it was self-defense as well, but it seems like these guys, like this article, definitely does not believe that it was self-defense. I just wonder what sort of evidence they have that it wasn't. You know,
I mean,
let's see what they say. So people started the hashtag Justice for James Scurlock. In the wake of fighting for justice for Floyd, everyone is completely and utterly outraged and shocked. Everyone's outraged these days, and shocked that more racial killings are taking place. As a black man, Scurlock is believed to have been targeted in this attack by Gardner. So it wasn't because Scurlock pushed his dad to the ground and was threatening him. It was because he was black. Okay. And as per Black Lives Matter advocates on Twitter, the fucking oracle of truth, the fucking Black Lives Matter advocates.
Everything those guys say is true, so watch out.
Yeah, fuck yeah, bro. Well, look at what this one Twitter user said. What the fuck is that? One Twitter user said, Jake Gardner walked free today after murdering 22-year-old James Scurlock. Gardner has a history of making transphobic, racist, and sexist comments, but today he was protected by a system that commends his morals. I am disgusted and heartbroken. Hashtag justice for James Scurlock. Hashtag no justice, no peace. Have the police seen this Twitter comment? because that should just tie it all up, right? Like,
Pretty
he's
much.
clearly guilty. He's clearly guilty,
1.4K likes.
right?
I mean,
He was transphobic. That's guilty, right? Like, that means that he murdered the guy.
and where do
And
we know that he was spewing racial slurs? Is there any proof that he said racial things, or is that?
As far as I can see, I can only see the transphobic one, which, I mean, I could see people
And
also
Let's
using
just
the
go over the
transphobic one.
the
saying that it's
transphobic one is just that was the bathroom one, right?
Yeah, we'll get
Using-
into that in a second
Yeah.
to show it, but I couldn't find the racist comments, and maybe you could say that the transphobic comments are also sexist, but like I don't see any racism, but
Mm.
I'm sure that Morty or Spamgella would not have got their fucking facts wrong, Mitch.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Like, this person is obviously a fucking detective
I mean, they did
and
use
has
the
found all the
hashtag
information.
"No justice, no peace." So I mean, like, pretty
Dude,
much
look,
locked.
He
Done.
very clearly said that the guy murdered a 22-year-old. Like, he must know something that the police
Yeah.
don't. So I just think that we should take his word for it. And yeah, this guy's definitely a killer. So let's look at the transphobic comments that he made, because I'm interested to see
Yeah.
if you agree with Spamgella's fucking assessment on this. So,
So he
you
started a
got
firestorm on Facebook when he suggested transgender women should not use the women's restroom unless they have had their appendage removed and their state identification changed. And keep in mind too, he said that he regrets the appendage part of his statement, and he thought he was posting to his friends, and then it just went viral. So it's not like he was out there screaming his opinions. This is an accidental. Someone started
Right.
sharing it too, right?
So basically what he said was men shouldn't use the women's bathroom. Right? Like, he said, if you have a dick and if the government thinks you're a man, then you should use the men's bathroom.
And they need to
And
have their
if you
identification
haven't-
changed. Yeah.
But that's what I'm
exactly.
saying. So if you have a dick and the government thinks that you're a man, like, if the government still believes that you're a man and you can't prove to anyone that you are a woman in the eyes of the law,
Mhm.
then you shouldn't be using the women's bathroom, is what this guy's saying, right?
Right.
So I think that I mean,
And just once, well, let me
is
interject
that
here.
wrong?
He also
Like,
he also said that he said this, he did include there was an assault at his bar which happened a couple of years ago that led him to post the article along with these comments, right? And he said he had an incident where a person in women's clothes but with male genitalia urinated in the woman's bathroom standing up. A woman in the bathroom said something. The person assaulted the woman. Bar staff ejected the attacker. The victim did not want a police report made. So it's not like he's also basing this off. Like, he's, like you said, he's basing it off of
he's
some
basing
valid.
this off an experience in his business where someone
Yeah.
got assaulted by a trans woman or whatever, somebody with a penis that assaulted some woman in his bar or in his business.
Yeah.
And so he now believes that people with penises shouldn't go in the women's bathroom,
Yeah.
right?
Which
Now-
is pretty valid, you know? Like, I remember
Well-
when I was in grade 6, me and my buddy went down to, me and my buddy were on the trails. We were on this, like, hike, right, with the whole class. And we waited till the class was, like, half a mile ahead of us, and we went in the woods and took a piss. And we got suspended for that, right?
Yeah.
But
Right.
but everyone else is saying these men should be able to go in the women's bathrooms and do whatever they
And-
want, which it doesn't make, you know.
It's because they're not men, Mitch. It's because they're women.
They're
Even
right,
though-
they're women.
even
sorry,
though-
they're women. They're women.
Even
they're
though
women.
their identification says that they're a man and their genitalia says that they're a man, they are women.
They're
So
women.
and, this
And
is-
they
and I
menstruate.
know-
They menstruate too.
That's right. They can have birth, give birth,
Yeah.
and they have, yeah, exactly. Well, here's so this is the way that I would challenge anyone that sort of disagrees with this guy. If you disagree with what he's saying, right, which is that he thinks that you should have your identification reflect who you are saying that you are,
Mhm.
and he can take back the appendage thing or not, it doesn't matter. I definitely think that part, the government part, makes the most sense. Like, are we meant to just allow people who are identified by the government as men into women's bathrooms? Because that's the real question, right? Regardless of what you say that you identify as, regardless of any of that, should I be allowed to go into a women's bathroom just for saying that I identify as a woman?
I don't even know if that. I think the biggest question there is that does that mean that when he murders someone in self-defense that he is invalidated because you are identifying this as transphobic, racist, and sexist, right? Like, is that
Mm.
even does that even come into play? Does this even come into play in a
Yeah, does
situation where
this
someone
even
is
matter? Like, why
murdered?
is this even being brought up?
Yeah,
Like that? Yeah, and that's a good point. Like, why are we even talking about his fucking transphobic comments?
mm,
Like, we can argue whether or not they're transphobic all day long, but in reality, does that have anything to do with what happened?
yeah.
Like,
Like
can we even find
murder,
racist comments?
murder, opinions on whether you should go into the bathroom if you have a dick or not. Like, I think one kind of over is a bit bigger
Right.
than the
But that's
other, right?
like, yeah, exactly. If you genuinely believed that he murdered someone, like, you shouldn't need to talk about all of the like politically incorrect stuff because he
Yeah,
did something that's actually incorrect. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like, we don't need to worry about is like him saying the wrong. He fucking killed someone.
yeah.
Like, if that, you know what I mean? If you genuinely believe it's murder, prove it. Don't just fucking slander the guy. And
And if that's what tips the scales from it being self-defense to murder, him being transphobic, like
yeah,
you didn't have a good case at all in the first place. That's it.
no
You didn't have a good
fucking way.
case at all.
That's the only
Like,
evidence, and that seems to be the only evidence that anyone's bringing up. Like, the county attorney said that it was self-defense. They say that they have a video that shows that it was self-defense. He believes that the guy was trying to attack him and his family. Sounds like self-defense.
hmm
And I mean, it obviously, once again, I don't like that a person died in this situation, but to some extent, if you go up and harass people outside their homes, people are volatile. And maybe if the guy did murder this guy, he does deserve to be in prison. But like, there also has to be some sort of accountability for the guy that goes around the murderer's house threatening his family and shit,
hmm
right? But I mean, what ended up happening with this guy? He got let go, right?
Close.
What
No,
happened?
no, he's dead. Killed himself.
He's dead. He
Yeah.
killed himself. Why did he kill
Shot
himself?
himself on the day he said he would surrender in connection with manslaughter, and so they got him on manslaughter and three other felony charges stemming from that confrontation, right?
Because I think he had an illegal gun or something like that, which is why it would have been manslaughter. Even if it was
Yeah.
self-defense because you had an illegal gun and you shot the guy, then it could be manslaughter.
Now
Which is
here's
sort of the yeah.
now
Go on.
to be fair, and this is I think where the our whole stance on politics I think comes down to this. Because as I'm reading it, they said okay, because you have to look into everything, no matter what you originally think. They said the bar
Mhm.
owner who had posted on Facebook the weekend of May 30th. Sorry, they said this is written badly. Like, journalism these days is terrible. They said the bar owner who had posted on Facebook the weekend of May 30th that he was okay on May. I'm gonna rewrite this in my own word. I'm gonna re-say this. Basically, he posted on Facebook that weekend that he was going downtown to pull a military-style fire watch, and felt like he was in a warlike environment during the chaos that engulfed downtown Omaha that night.
Mhm.
Which is basically all that they revealed. He
Right.
also suffered two traumatic brain injuries while serving 2 tours in Iraq.
So he's a
Um,
veteran as well.
he's a veteran.
Fuck, man. This is the other thing that's
They
really
sent him
hard,
death
right? Like,
threats on social
veterans are starting
media.
to come out. Veterans are starting to genuinely come out. I saw a video the other day. I can probably find it when we have a chat tomorrow. But veterans are starting to come out, basically saying openly to their local councils, like, if you don't do something about this, we took an oath to protect our country from foreign and domestic
Yeah.
enemies. There are domestic enemies right now. And I would even, once again, I'm not a lawyer and I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm not representing anybody. But like, from just a personal standpoint, I would say that if you're seeing your fucking city getting burnt down and you're a vet,
Yeah, you're
I could make
gonna.
a really good argument that you are doing that out of what you believe to be self-defense.
Yeah. And it's kind of so. This is another really good paragraph. They're saying that. So Gardner claimed that Skurlock, the guy that he shot, had him in a chokehold, wouldn't let go, despite Gardner's repeated pleas to get off of him. And at the end of the 18-second struggle, Gardner switched the gun to his left hand, fired over his shoulder, and that killed him. Right? And the next line is grand jurors, under the guidance of a special prosecutor, ruled out self-defense as a justification. Which, those two things don't really add up to me, but okay.
Yeah. Fuck, I just don't know what you're like. I don't. So and I think that we're getting caught in the weeds a bit, but like, so he goes and kills himself. Why do you think that he killed himself? Why did? Because it says somewhere, doesn't it? I mean, doesn't it say why he killed himself or something like that?
Well, they say it's some mental. In the end, if you get, I think it was put online. There's a good comment online, but basically, if you know that you're innocent and you have a mob put you in jail for, I don't know how many years this was. If convicted, Gardner would have faced up to 95 years in prison. Like, that is a...
Jesus.
I would lose faith. Like, what am I living for? Like, I would want to live, but I wouldn't want to live in this society. I would not be living in this society, you know?
No. And I would also say that it's very... I can imagine that if you're in his position right now, even if you do feel like you did this out of self-defense, and you feel like you're innocent of the crime, I mean, look at what's happening to those other cops in the George Floyd thing, right? Like the training cops. People are essentially trying to lynch them. And I think that there's a genuine worry, if you are a guy like this, that these people are going to lynch you before you even get to face a fair trial.
Yeah.
And then when you do go to trial, will it even be fair, or are you going to be serving 95 years for something just because the political climate is so intense that the fucking judge or the jury feels like they have to fucking crucify you?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
it's a different... I think both sides... I think on one hand you have a guy that probably should have had a legal gun, probably shouldn't have been out there, even though I understand why he wanted to be out there. Probably shouldn't have been out there, knowing that
I don't know if he's defending his dad, Mitch. If he's defending his dad...
If he's defending his dad, then yes.
I don't see any reason why he should be inside. If your dad's getting pushed around outside, you're not just going to stay inside with your gun and just let him get attacked.
Well, it's just, in the end, you can't use, like, in this article it also talks about how a bodyguard was accused of being racist at their bar. As former employees said Jake Gardner had used the N-word in his presence, and this employee was also black, by the way. But racism doesn't have anything to do with, like, you can't just say, okay, if this guy wasn't black, so it wasn't murder. If this guy wasn't black, then it wasn't murder. If he was Asian, was it murder?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's the thing. Would it have been self-defense if the person who died was white?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to understand. Is like, if we take, like, it's so frustrating when we read these articles. It's like, Jacob, whoever the guy that just killed himself was, like, is a white man who killed a black man. Like, he either killed another human by murdering him, or he was defending himself from another human and happened to kill him.
Exactly.
I don't think that the color should matter. Like, it shouldn't matter. And if we're genuinely just looking at these things seriously, I don't know. It's fucking silly. Do we want to move on to the next thing?
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of infuriating. But yeah.
Oh, it's super infuriating, and it's also just one of those things where it's like, I just feel bad for this guy. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for his family. I feel bad for the person who died as well, and his family, of course. But guess what? If you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. If you go around pushing people's fucking family members and threatening people outside of their homes, I don't give a fuck.
Especially if they're waving a gun at you. That's the other thing I was going to say. The other side is that you don't assault someone that is waving a gun at you. You know?
Yes, they're telling you.
Especially when they're telling you to get off them. Yeah. You just don't do it.
That's right. They're saying stop. They're saying stop. And in fact, they're doing it in probably a way that you should be able to understand real quick. Like, guess what? I don't give a fuck, man. Like, if I was picking on someone or if I was getting into a confrontation with someone and they pull their gun out, the confrontation's over. I'm done with it. Like, it's you win, bro. Like, it's okay. Like, I don't know what more is gonna happen. I'm not gonna beat you. I'm not going to win this fight now. Like, it's over, right? So, and that's, I mean, that's the whole reason for the Second Amendment in America. That's why they have that fucking whole rule in their system in the first place, is so that if you're a 120-pound woman, you can brandish your gun and stop a potential rapist from raping you, or a
Yeah.
potential murderer, or you can defend your home, or whatever. You like it equalizes the situation, or at least makes it so that you can stop someone without having to get physical.
Well,
The
Texans,
brandishing of the gun should end the situation.
yeah. And I've talked to some Texans that say they actually rather everyone carry a gun, because when you carry a gun, you also know that you think that everyone else is carrying a gun, and therefore you're not going to
Yeah.
go rob someone, you're not going to get in a fight, because you're just assuming
Yeah.
that everyone else has a gun and you don't want to get shot. Like, you don't want to
Yeah.
so he thinks it makes, the guy in specific I talked to, he says he thinks it makes everyone more peaceful, in his opinion. Whether that's true or not, who knows, but yeah, I mean,
I think that
anyways.
there's definitely an argument for it. I think that there's an argument for both ways, right? Like if everyone has a gun or if
Mhm.
no one has a gun, you're probably going to get a very similar level of peace.
Yeah,
The issue is when half the country has a gun.
exactly. If half the world has
Like when you're not
nukes,
looking at it in
you
like
know.
Texas. Yes, exactly. That's right. Because now it's just like a real could you imagine being someone trying to buy a gun now and knowing that they're all sold out and just having to live in America gunless?
Oh my
Like
God.
that has to be the fucking
Yeah.
worst. I'm so glad I live in like Canada and Australia where there's no fucking guns and like you're never really gonna run into someone with one. But Jesus fuck, I would not be leaving my home at this point, and it would not be because of COVID. It would be because I wouldn't want to get my fucking head blown off. Like
Pretty
seriously,
much.
fuck.